A Palestinian American citizen was murdered, killed in the occupied West Bank in a village northeast of Jerusalem a couple of days ago by Israeli extremist settlers in the occupied West Bank. He was shot dead. He was shot and killed by Israeli settlers after he and other Palestinians, and the whole thing's actually on video. I'm not going to be able to show the whole thing because clearly of YouTube guidelines, but there was a farmer being attacked by Israeli settlers as he was with his flock of sheep, a farmer, and the Palestinians came in support of the farmer, and then the IDF arrived, and the IDF started spraying tear gas or shooting tear gas and everything else, and the settlers that were clearly riled up by the IDF decided, you know what, this is perfect. It's free reign on Palestinians. Let's just shoot them. And they ended up shooting and murdering him. So let me go ahead and show you his photo. He's right here. American citizen Saif was shot by settlers in the occupied West Bank. Palestinian American teenager shot by Israeli settler in West Bank dies of wounds. And I'm not going to play the full video, but I'm going to play this part right here. And you can see that Palestinians are running, and then all of a sudden you're going to see dust on the ground, which is basically just bullets hitting the ground. And you're going to see this commotion, and all of a sudden, okay, and then you end up seeing one man fall to the ground, and they kind of run back to him. So I guess that is the whole thing, basically. And Nasrallah Abu Sa'im and injured four others. And it's basically the Israeli way. And I'm still waiting to hear. These are Israeli settlers. Actually, these settlers that you're seeing right here, this photo is a very viral photo of settlers, and these settlers are actually the settlers next to my family's village. I know because I've seen this photo so many times. It's the extremist settlers of Yitzhar. They're also known as Jewish ISIS. That's not just coming from me. That's coming from actually, there's a headline called Jewish ISIS Tablet Magazine. Let me see if I can find it. Here it is. A Jewish ISIS rises in the West Bank. That's and there we go. We see these Israeli settlers. Again, the settlement of Yitzhar here. This is the one next to my family's village in the West Bank called Burin. And this is what the settlers do. They love to just go on murdering them. Some in Israel refer to them in disgust and horror as Jewish ISIS. And while there's a great distance between their practices of beheading, burning people alive, well, actually, they love to burn people alive. That's true because back in, 2011, when they poured gasoline down the throat of a Palestinian and lit him on fire. When the Israeli settlers are throwing weddings, and during the weddings, they're singing songs like burn the villages to the ground. This actually just happened yesterday, and there's a video of Israel's minister Ben Gvir, Israel's security minister Ben Gvir, singing the song burn the villages to the ground, burn the villages to the ground, while they're at a wedding. Just yesterday, okay? So this is basically the Jewish ISIS. They're called Yitzhar. They're extremists, and this would actually be a great time to show my disclaimer here. Again, this is not intended to promote hate towards any group of people. We're really specifically talking about extremist groups in the occupied West Bank, and we're not meant to generalize toward an entire religion whatsoever at all. So now that I really got that out of the way, we have to have an honest conversation about what the hell these people are. So I wish I could say that it's just a group. This is what the Israelis will say. Oh, they're just a group of bad kids here and there. It's not significant. It's not reflective of the entire settler population in the occupied West Bank, which shouldn't even be there, by the way. They're in Palestinian land. And it's based on an ideology that's actually now it's outlawed in Israel, but they practice it in the occupied West Bank. And it's a U.S. special designated global terrorist group, which is Kahan Chai. And they're Kahanists. For those who don't know what Kahanism is, it is now an outlawed ideology in Israel. I'll say that. I'll be honest about that. It's practiced, though, in the occupied West Bank. It came from Yitzhar. It came from the settlement next to my family's village. And Kahanism is the belief that anybody that is not Jewish is a threat or could become a threat, including babies, newborns, that they believe could become a threat to Israel deserves execution. Execution. And they believe the slaughter of Gentile babies, Kahanists, is justified. And this ideology, and for those who are not threats to Israel, well, they're slaves. And this is Kahanism. And Kahan Chai is a U.S. designated, a special designated global terrorist group. It was listed as a U.S. Designated terrorist, and it was until 2021 or 2022. Biden removed it, stating that it's no longer a threat to the United States, but it's still designated as a U.S. special designated global terrorist group. There's a little bit of a difference there. And Kahan Chai was originated from a rabbi called Rabbi Yitzhak Shapira from Yitzhar. And there's actually photo. Let me go ahead and pull up Yitzhak Shapira so you can see this guy, because there's photos of Yitzhak Shapira, and he's absolutely sickening, and he's absolutely sick and psychotic. Yitzhak Shapira, Yitzhar, and he comes from the settlement next to my family's village of Yitzhar. Let me go ahead and share my screen here so you guys can see this. And here is Rabbi Yitzhak Shapira. It's this dude right over here. Here's him when he was being detained by Israeli authorities. Let me go ahead and move this over a little bit so you guys can see this better. And this guy, Yitzhak Shapira, here he is, this guy right over here. This guy, Yitzhak Shapira, wrote a book called The King's Torah. And the King's Torah is the book that basically promotes Kahanism. And in the King's Torah, it talks about the justification of the slaughter of babies and everything else. And it's important to bring this up because when you see Palestinians in the occupied West Bank being just murdered in cold blood by Israeli settlers, you have to recognize the ideology that promotes that is Kahanism. That's practiced in the occupied West Bank. And it's also a supremacist belief, a supremacist and what Norman Finkelstein, an anti-Zionist Jew, calls a Jewish supremacist belief, that they are above people in the occupied West Bank, and because of that, they can do whatever they want to Palestinians. Keep in mind, Palestinians don't own any weapons. They can't have any defense in the occupied West Bank, but Israeli settlers get U.S. weapons, get U.S. M16 rifles from our taxpayer dollars to go to hilltops where they build settlements by getting moving homes, or the word's slipping me, by getting trailer homes, tossing them on hilltops, and then building settlement outposts and looking down on Palestinians like wild game and just going after us. They just look at them like they're hunting for deer. They're hunting for wild game. That is the Israeli way, okay? And it's not just the settlers, it's the IDF too. Because, I mean, there's video footage, this was taken today, of IDF soldiers shooting tear gas at quiet Palestinian neighborhoods that are not up to anything. They're just chilling. And look at that. The guy saying in Arabic, Mafi Ishi, which means there's nothing going on. And they're just shooting. This is just an average Palestinian village in the occupied West Bank. And they're just shooting tear gas. Here in a second, you're going to see the smoke of the tear gas start to kind of pop up. And they're just doing it for fun. And there you see some tear gas right there. And they're just doing it for fun because they know they can get away with it. Because who's going to stop an IDF soldier? Other IDF soldiers, the commanders? Absolutely not. You think Israel gives a damn? No, Israel loves this because the settlers are doing the bidding of the Israeli government, which is displacement, ethnic cleansing, and just ultimately expulsion of Palestinians from the occupied West Bank. That's the Israeli way. So we're going to keep seeing a lot more of this. And guess what? It doesn't really matter if he's an American citizen because we know our U.S. politicians care more about Israel than they do American citizens that are murdered by Israel. That's also the Israeli way. They just occupy the whole government, bought out the government, and American politicians are scared to call it out because they think they're going to be branded as anti-Semites, get bad publicity headlines, lose funding, and ultimately be booted out of Congress because AIPAC is going to spend money on their opposition. That's kind of what happens. So I hope you guys found this video interesting. If you did, I'd appreciate it if you click the subscribe button below and give it a thumbs up as well and share it with your friends. It helps me reach more people like you. Also, if you want to join as a member, I started my membership recently, and you get to see member-only videos from me daily. I'll be doing one later today on Greater Israel, so I hope